Who would have thought that a small rural town in Illinois would end up being home to the most innovative and influential custom auto shop in the world? Well, it did. Hey, I'm Jared Zimmerman, and this is Rad Rides by Troy, the most award-winning, speed record-setting, innovative custom shop in the world. I was lucky enough to get to work here for almost 12 years before I got into being a TV show host.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Let me see, did it cut you?
Yeah, get off me. Here.
Well, now I'm back with my old crew to show you the real workings of this legendary shop. Sadly, the networks have portrayed the automotive world in an unrealistic, contrived, overly written soap opera, and I refuse to take that road. Who's the biggest asshole?
Me.
Can you answer it with the question?
No, just me.
So we're going the unscripted, no fake drama or storylines route, and the people that you see are actually the ones doing the work.
It's a good thing my mom kept all this stuff, huh, Jay?
It's ridiculous.
It's amazing.
Man.
This is 30 years of what we do, right?
Yeah, I can see where you got your organizational skills.
Yeah,
to say the
exactly.
least.
I wouldn't have any if it wasn't
Yeah.
for her, so it's pretty awesome that she kept it all.
Oh, it's funny too because she was kind of down on herself about all of it. She's like, "Oh, I wish I did a better job." I think you got it
I
nailed.
think she literally spent a year cataloging all this.
That's
so
unreal, man.
that was a big part of this whole thing was the family thing, and
Yeah.
and then being involved, my mom and dad both from the beginning. I think it helped me get a good foothold in the industry and everything. And obviously we got to spend time together. So
Yeah.
that was a good thing, man. Look at these pictures.
Yeah,
Huh?
so I guess that's you, your first little hot
Yeah,
rod.
look at that, huh?
Your actual
little
first
blue
hot
buggy
one?
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 69. See how he's had the right number on it?
Heck yeah. Tasteful.
I have that still.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have it at home actually, believe it or not. I don't collect anything, but that was my first pedal car. And it's not the car, but I actually had a guy get me one, so
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
actually sitting in the garage, so it's pretty cool. There you go.
I don't know what you got to do there.
Yeah, dirty as a young guy.
Changing the rear end
Yeah.
fluid out.
Oh, there he is.
And Grandpa.
This
right?
was the guy that wrecked me right here as far as like everything had to be perfect. My dad taught me all the mechanical side of it, but my grandpa being a pipe fitter was, I used to scrub that rusty pipe in that one car garage till it was scrubbed in half, and it was never good enough. So he's the one that kind of brainwashed me into doing everything the right way. So
It's awesome.
that's pretty awesome. That was we're standing actually right here.
Okay.
I was at Grandpa's house, and then we had the old sheds and stuff out there.
Hey.
It had to be, man, 20s maybe. I don't know.
I was
Probably.
wondering. It looks like
Yeah.
somebody got on a pretty high ladder.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
how
no
you
lie.
get that shot.
That's probably my grandpa. He had the water tower.
Okay.
He stood on his head, and he did a lot of stuff for the town, just kind of like we do still. And he was doing some work on a water tower. And actually, there's a picture of him somewhere standing on his head on top of the water tower.
Oh, look at that.
that,
It's like
Jay,
class
huh?
rings. I
Yeah,
didn't
went
really
to a
give
lot of
these
different
out,
high
dude.
schools.
Yeah. Championship.
Went to a lot of high schools. I got more rings than Tom Brady here.
You
Yeah.
won every Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Back in the day when they had the old street machine stuff that you'd win a ring, if you were the grand champion. And Jesus, the one, 1990. Look at that.
That's
so
awesome.
most of them I think are from probably 90 with my 60 Chevy. And how many is there? What, five
There's
of them
five,
here?
yeah.
Five
Yeah.
here. So that's kind of cool.
All right, and this one here, this is one of my favorites because, I can relate because your dad.
Oh, look at that,
I
huh?
spent so much time with him, but yeah.
Yeah.
Little stock car
Old
pictures.
stock car days. It looked like a demolition derby here. Everything's all beat to shit.
That's awesome.
69 again. You see the relevance of the
Yeah.
number? Huh?
Did he do that on purpose?
Huh? Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, that's a good question. I don't know where I was born in 69, but I don't know if that had any relevance on it or not. I'm not for sure.
I love it's a 57 Chevy
Yeah,
too. So
yeah.
It's very iconic car.
My grandpa welded in like 1/4-inch plates on all the headlights, and obviously welded all the doors up, cut the fenders out. But they definitely wrecked a lot of them. Got the clown.
Yeah, that's a creepy
Bozo
ass
the clown, right? Huh? Yeah,
mean, that's
a legit clown.
That's
right there.
completely it's out of place.
Hey, we went all out for you today, kids. We got you a signed picture from Lucky.
Yeah.
The clown at Kankakee. Look at this here. Big championship, huh? So this was all when Jimmy was driving it. And I don't know how long he drove it. That was a pretty cool old hauler. I'd like to have
yeah,
that,
man.
That's too bad that ain't around
Slick.
somewhere. There's old mom with the hot pants on.
Yep.
So now my old man's driving it.
Look at how hard they hit that.
Yeah, isn't that
thing's
awesome? It's like
completely crushed
demolition
up.
derby. My grandpa used to weld rebar on the wheels too. I don't know if you can't really see it. Yeah, see it here. So now he's stepped up. Now he's into the Chevelle days. So 66 Chevelle, right? Like my first car.
Yeah.
There's a good one. This is it right here. This is where he got hit and they rolled it over, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, right there.
Oh, man.
Yep, flipped her over.
That's brutal.
Tore it up pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see, he came back and I think he either won or that night he won after they rolled it back over and fixed it up and he ended up winning anyway. Is that awesome or what?
Bashed all to pieces.
Yeah. This was pretty cool. This was a guy by the name of Meredith. My dad was in the service with him, and Meredith was a drag racer, and they took a Henry J. Sears sold these cars at the time, which is pretty interesting, the Henry J.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, they took that, and they think they ran B-gas, had a Hemi in it, and did really well with it, and he actually still has it to this day, Meredith, and they've made it into a pro mod now. It's pretty
really?
cool. Same car.
Oh, damn.
Here I am with Chuck worked for my dad, Dan worked for my dad, Jim Kingston, all these guys worked for my dad.
That's badass.
Yeah.
A lot of this looks ahead of its time. I mean, like, I don't know what the rules were back then, but I mean, the car looks really highly modified.
Left the vinyl top on it, you know.
Taste.
Good
classy.
background. Get the truck in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Chuck. Yeah, Chuck worked for my dad for a long time. I call Al Chuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's because of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you
Yeah.
about this. Is that a square roll cage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, no tubing bender, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's all miters.
Yeah, exactly.
So this would have been probably 69 roughly here when they first built the building.
Cool.
And pretty cool truck testing lane.
Yeah.
This was pretty cool, huh? The old Bisquick.
Yeah.
A lot of people still ask about this car. You know, we did that thing, and I think my mom and dad did at least four power tours in it. You know, had a 600-inch motor in it for a while, big aluminum trick flow motor that we put in it. And
So speaking about the Power Tour, there's a new arrival in the shop. It was recently bought by George Poteet, the owner and the driver of the Speed Demon and the Blowfish, both of which hold world speed records. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Troy and his mom are actually going to get to drive it in a cross-country tour, but before that, it's going to be completely changed.
you know, you remember Big Dean?
Yeah,
Sears Sports, yeah.
Yeah.
He bought it from a guy in Tennessee with 2,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Back, I'm going to say 20 years ago, and put some air ride on it, typical Dean, you know, wheels lowered it like he did a lot of stuff, and then Glenn seen it, had to have it 16 years ago, and I don't know if Glenn ever drove it, sat up there, and George wandered through the collection up there, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago and seen it, and George kind of big into the Survivor Series car stuff, like what Roadster Shop's doing now and that, leave the body alone, put a drivetrain under it, do the, good guys tours.
Yeah.
So he had some interest in it, so I got the deal together, me and Danny, and George bought it from Glenn. It's got 8,000 miles on it now, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of weird because it's like a, it's a, what is it, a Brookwood wagon.
Never heard of that.
Plain Jane. Who would save a Brookwood wagon that have 2,000 miles on it?
It's just a fluke.
So it's pretty cool. So my mom's been after me about maybe doing another one of them cross-country drives. We haven't done one lately, so
that's a good mom.
George is more than cordial to always do another thing, so we're going to do a little Morrison chassis, a little LSX 376 with a single turbo.
Awesome.
Because George doesn't have nothing with a turbo, so I figured he'd like that.
He doesn't? Wait, the guy that drives this doesn't have a street car with a turbo?
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty unmolested. You got to check out under the hood here. It's got the big
inline
big six-cylinder in it. But what's cool about it is bone stock, but I mean the chalk's still on the firewall.
Wow.
Right? So if you used it or washed it a few times, that'd be gone.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. But and then my mom, my mom and dad had that 61 Biscayne they did all the power tours in, the white and silver one. So the year's kind of cool. Yeah, there's this something we can turn around pretty quick, and have a lot of fun with it, and just to show people we still do this kind of stuff, which we do. It's still doing it right.
Yeah.
It's, I feel everything we do anyway is something you drive and use, where I think a lot of shops aren't. But this will just be something, obviously, that you can just, like George does. He does 5 or 6 of these years, and he just gives the keys to different family and friends, and they go on these tours. So that's kind of fun, yeah. So he has a good time with it. But you always hear that stupid, it's still got the stock spare tire in it, but you got to see this one.
Get in there. I pretty much figured that's what he was going to show me. so it has an original spare and low miles. I think it's time to borrow the keys and take it for a joyride to get a before perspective on how it drives, so I can really appreciate the after results. After all, I don't have to worry about getting a flat. Gotta be careful. There's a lot of things to consider when you're driving something like this that's been kind of modified, and that's what most hot rods are in the world. Things like, you know, you put the big wheels on and the air suspension and all that, and it's cool, but you gotta worry about ripping the fenders off because the tire rubs. That's the kind of stuff they're gonna work out of this car and give it the same look, but it's things I gotta be careful about because it's not my car. This baby's only got 8,000 miles on it. That's so cool. I mean, it's like driving a freaking time capsule. The old 61 Chevy Brookwood. I'm imagining Brookwood meant, you don't get special trim. But really, back then, what was there? I mean, you're not looking for power windows or anything anyway, so... Oh, they warned me about everything, save for the brakes, which... I can tell you right now, we're definitely packing four-wheel drums on this little sweetheart. High performance machine. Right there's one of the disadvantages of Air Ride. It has advantages and disadvantages, but unless you really get a system dialed in and know right where to have the bags, like in height, then you're gonna have a little bit of a bouncy suspension or too soft of a suspension. And in the case of this one, it just has analog switches and things. So you could really set up and dial it in based on these air pressures and things, and then go do measurements on suspension to know where the bags are at, so to speak, so you get optimal ride quality. That's possible. Most people don't do that. They just air these suckers all the way up, then they get where they're going, they park them, they drop the car down to look cool. It's that extra part, that last 10% to make things work is 90% of the build. And that's what makes these things work, you know? But 99% of the time, using percentages, it just isn't the case. The Brookwood is going to be a really cool project, and I can't wait to get going on it. But it did remind me of another wagon that Troy had worked on for one of his sponsors. You had a cool story about Mothers the other day, though, with
yeah, you know,
how far back that all goes.
What's awesome with Mothers and Jim and his mom is, you know, I've known the family for a long time, and we really got hooked up together on the power tours because Mothers got behind all that and started doing stuff with them and became good family friends. And we were at Pomona several years back, and geez, probably 10 years ago, and they had their 59 sedan delivery that they basically started their business out of.
Wow.
You know, which I found out all this after. I always knew the car was iconic to Mothers. You know, it was a red Mothers sedan delivery with Mothers on it. Everybody knows it, right?
Yeah.
And it had been done several times over the years, just kind of, you know, half-ass, I'll say. And so Jim's mom wanted to, hey, me and your father started a business out of the back of this car. They've had it in the company for 40-some years, and they wanted to do justice to it and have it gone through completely. So we were very fortunate. We had a meeting, me and my dad and Jim and his mom wanted us to do it. You know, I'm sure Jim was a big part of that. And it was a great honor because when they hauled that car here for us to do it, they passed 100 shops on the way here that they work with. So I thought it was a great honor that Mothers picked us to do it. And you know, that's the part of being loyal and having credibility in the industry, period, no matter what. So
integrity.
Yeah. So that was unbelievable that happened, and that relationship will be forever, and it just keeps getting bigger. So that's why we do it. And obviously their product's the best, so that's an easy
It makes
sell.
it easy, right?
But the people are great, you know, and that's why we do it. And Jim was a big part of this whole TV industry. You know, when this whole TV industry came into our deal, Jim was approached, and he gave a few names out on who was who in the industry, and we were one of them. And you know, so he's, you know, when you're right with people and you have the credibility, you help each other and you get a lot farther. So.
And when it comes to people, Troy got a helping hand for some of the biggest names in the industry. And he found some photos of them right after he found these little gems.
Yeah, back then they had a bikini contest, so that was pretty good.
Nobody's feelings got
Just
hurt.
happened to have them. Yeah, exactly.
Women in swimsuits? How dare you?
Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, that thing.
Is that Evil Knievel's black twin?
What? That was a local car show that we did.
Okay.
It was come on, it was for helping kids out.
I see that. The two Utes.
The two Utes. He's got the jumpsuit on. Oh, that old Jesse, I think. Jesse O'Neill, yep.
All right.
Yeah, he was a nice guy. Yeah, he was Oh man, let's see here. This is really brings back a lot of memories here. This is kind of what really I feel got me started with the right people. You know, you got obviously George,
Yeah.
Posey, Angelo from Ford. This was Jim Savis. He was like the head of the publishing. Brizio, then Gray Baskerville. You know, you say Gray's name now, all these young guys that are doing it now, they don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But he was Hot Rod Magazine, period. So that's when we did the power tour and drove the Sniper cross country and ran in that group. And it was just a special time. And Angelo Giampetroni, he was riding with me that year going through Colorado in the Sniper. And we're flying, actually kind of going along. And, you know, we're going 80, 90 because my dad had the Biscayne and it was geared right. So we're buzzing through them. I think it was around Vail area, you know, through them deep canyons. And all of a sudden it opens up and like, oh yeah. So I just, you know, roll into it a little bit. And and I just kind of left my old man and we're running. I was about like 140, 150, whatever. This cop was sitting on the overpass. I didn't see him.
Oh man.
So all of a sudden we slow down and we're just kind of talking. All of a sudden here's these lights and I'm like, oh crap.
Was your heart just beating out of your chest?
Like, shit. I mean, it was like, I was kind of still like shaking from going that fast and going through there, you know. And so I pull over and Angelo's like, you're dead. He had this kind of Italian
encouraging
voice, you know. And I'm reaching under the seat trying to find the registration or anything. There's nothing.
Yeah.
The license plate's airbrushed and it says Sniper.
Yeah.
You know? And so the guy comes up to the car and he's got a Ford Racing coat on. He's like, you know why I pulled you over? And I'm like, yeah, you know, we're kind of going a little fast. And, you know, and I didn't know how fast we were going.
Yeah.
And I think whatever the exact number was, but he said he clocked it. It was over 140. He goes, I clocked you at that. And I'm like, oh. You know, and he's like, he goes, you got license and registration. I go, well, here's my license, but we can't find a registration, you know. And he knew there was a power tour in the area because there'd been a lot of cars coming through there.
Okay.
And so he's walking back to the car, and Angelo's like, we're dead, you know, you're going to jail and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So the guy walks back, and no lie, he hands me my license back, and he goes, so you're the Troy Trepanier I'm reading about in Hot Rod Magazine? I go, yeah. And he goes, slow it down a little bit, have a good day.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
And now like, I put it in my pocket, and he goes, you asshole. And he just couldn't. It was awesome because he'd been in this industry a long time. And he just couldn't believe the guy, you know, was like, you're the guy seeing Hot Rod Magazine, hand me my license back and just let us go.
Cool.
You know, my old man, he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, and when that cop went by me, because he was behind me in a biscuit, he goes, that's where we cut the umbilical cord.
We don't know that kid. Sadly, some of Troy's friends are no longer around, but he's still forever grateful to have known them.
Boyd's little obituary thing here. So Boyd was really good to me. You know, I met him, geez, 96-ish probably. And I spent a lot of time out there because I knew Chip back. I met Chip in 92. So Chip was over from Boyd all them years. So I spent a lot of time out in Southern California just in groups at time and hanging out at Boyd's, and became good friends with him. He helped me early on. And I never forget when Carly was born, he sent a $500 savings bond and a bunch of food and stuff. You know, that really hit home with me more than anything that we ever did in the car stuff together, you know. I mean, we put all the stereo systems in their semis and all kinds of stuff for them, but that really meant a lot to me, and I was friends with him the whole time. And
see, on his TV show, okay, he was my freaking absolute hero, you know, and like you said, going to the stands and all that. That was the same way for me. You know, I had a subscription to Hot Rod Magazine. You get those, was in love with Boyd. When people talk about him and they get the impression from the show he did, they think he was a mean guy.
Yeah, misconception.
I'm lucky that I got to meet him because of you, you know, before he passed, but no, he's a nice dude.
He was a quiet guy, kind of, you know, and he just, you know, he was kind of shy, so people got the wrong impression. And then the TV show hurt him a little bit, the way they had, you know, acting like all the drama and that.
Yeah.
Because I actually asked him years later, you know, why he was doing it, and he was like, oh, it was easy money for him. He was tired of chasing the money and the hot rod stuff and all this and that, but was a great guy, and he's a big part of this. The reason this industry is where it's at, I mean, I'm talking a huge part is because of him, period.
When I tell people about him, if I'm trying to explain him, I just say, I mean, for me, the way I understand it, he's basically the first person to ever get somebody to step up and pay more than $100,000 for a hot rod and take a hot rod seriously.
He made it legit.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
He made our industry legit, you know. Hands down. There was a lot of other guys, but he was the guy.
Yeah.
Period. And that made the difference. And then this guy here, I mean, like I said, Gray, most guys today wouldn't know him. He was Hot Rod Magazine, period, man. He's the guy that got me in, I think it was probably 1986 at Street Machine Nationals with my Chevelle, seen the car and did a photo shoot for, you know, did an article thing on Hot Rod. And he was my first guy that I met. and become a great friend. And when we drove cross country in 1990, he was the guy that he rode with me. You know, that was the first power tour ever. You know, what's known as the power tour now was called the Victory Tour, and he rode with me in my '60 Chevy, and he was the guy, man. I mean, his stuff was interesting to read, and he was Boyd's right-hand man. He was tight with Boyd, and I think that's probably why it all worked. But Gray really helped propel me to what it was. And I mean, he was worked for Hot Rod for, I'm gonna say, probably 50 years at least, probably. Wow. You know, he was legit. You know, now it's this revolving door.
Yeah.
Different time with social media, but he was the guy for sure. And I sorely miss these guys for sure. You know, but I think that's why I had a lot of success early on, was because of guys like him and Boyd and Posey, all these guys. I tailed in on the end of them.
So let's talk about Troy's cars, starting with the first.
It all started with the '66 Chevelle here.
Yeah, right.
Was, you know, obviously, as we've seen in my dad's old race car stuff, they ended up with racing the '66 Chevelles. And then my grandpa bought this one brand new, you know, from the dealership in town here. And I grew up in that car. I remember hauling a mini bike in the back seat and bringing it down to the Honda dealer and everything. So me and my sister sitting in this thing. My grandpa was a volunteer firefighter, so he'd be babysitting us on the weekends, and we'd get a fire call. So he would just put us in the car and drive us up his ride on Main Street up here. And he'd go to the fire call, and we would just sit in the car. He'd just leave us in the car. So
you were playing with your iPhones, right?
Yeah. A lot of video games.
Yeah, fun stuff.
So we'd sit there for a couple hours, and finally we would just walk back across the tracks and go back to his house over here. So
after spending a good deal of his early childhood sitting in the '66 waiting for Grandpa to put out fires, his grandpa actually gave him the car after he blew the engine up when Troy was only a teenager, which is when he decided to test his hand at custom work.
Yeah, and in this phase, we brought it down to Street Machine Nationals and just kind of looked around back in probably '86. And then I kind of seen what was going on, so then we come back next year, and that's where I tore it back apart and did the Pro Street thing.
Yeah.
And kind of got that all going. But it was still kind of simple. We didn't know what we were doing. I mean, it was so bad. The head fabricators were my dad and Gene, you know, and I was just kind of, so that's how it was a little rough in the early days. But
I don't know, man.
So we got it done to this stage, and I went back to Street Machine Nationals. That's when I met Gray, and Gray shot for Hot Rod the first time, and that kind of kick-started everything.
Hell of an honor.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, you know, and I was 16, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
To have the feature. Second time through, it was more, looking back, it wasn't as even tasteful as it was when it was red, but it got a lot more attention.
Yeah.
And it went through some phases. And then this phase was good. This I'd seen Steve Stanford on TV doing some stuff on some show, and got a hold of him, and then he kind of did this wheel design and this graphics, and it kind of helped the car a little bit. So so we did that, and that's what got the ball rolling.
That's awesome.
And kept it for quite a while. And my mom and dad bought it from me so I could do the next car, which is a '60 Chevy.
Just when I was here, I know the things we were doing, you know, under your direction was at least 2 years ahead of anything else. And you go to SEMA 2 years later and you see it there.
Right,
it's all their big idea, you know. But like this car, this was done, what, 1990? No one was touching these things.
No, they weren't even messing with a '60 Chevy, let alone painting it winter mint green, you know, or a Pro Street in it. Or I had the only set of billet wheels at the Street Machine Nationals that year.
That's
in 1990, because the markets didn't even cross over back then.
No.
Like the Street Rod did their own thing, and these lunatics did their own thing, and nobody kind of intermixed. And I had brush trim on it, and you know, billet wheels and stuff like that, which wasn't in our our industry yet. So it was kind of interesting. And back in the day when I was doing these cars, obviously it was, you know, I didn't want to take the time to actually go learn how to do anything the right way. So the only way to figure it out is do it.
Just make it happen.
So, you know, the cars, I like the unique body styles anyway, just because if you're looking at something new, even to this day, if it's a new body style and you're looking at something somebody did to one, at least your mind is open when you're looking at it. You don't have a picture of all the other ones you've seen and you're comparing it to that. So
69 Camaro.
Yeah, right. How many, all you're thinking while you're looking at it is every other one you see. So I always picked on the weird body styles. I liked them better. And then obviously the weird colors. I like them colors at the time. Obviously they're terrible if you use them today. But and then, you know, everything was monochromatic. That was kind of the thing then.
Yeah.
That we maybe helped start, and Scott Sullivan too. But you know, then I didn't have to spend no money on the chrome or nothing either, because that was my own money at that time. I didn't have a whole lot. So I felt that I gained a lot of ground with little. back then. And then just like on my 60 Chevy, when we drove it cross country, learned a lot. That was a super nice car. So one of the memories that we always talk about to this today, is things evolve and how you do things, and back then when I did my 60 Chevy, we drove that thing cross country, which was cool. Made it, drove it in snow, everything on the way there.
Damn.
And it was in the Peterson booth, which had been Hot Rod Magazine at the time.
Yeah.
So I spent, I think, 2 days I think we were at the, what's the castle one on the corner? The big hotel.
Oh, in Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, Excalibur.
Yes, we stayed there. And we'd made some temporary inner fenders over the wheels, like splash guards, and they broke off about halfway across country. So we took the car apart and cleaned it all up. I took all the front suspension off and everything, and cleaned it up in the parking lot and then brought it in and did the show. And one of my fondest memories of that year was this guy walking up with his kid, showing his kid the car, and I had all that brush trim on there.
Yeah.
And it had a few little wiggles and waves in it, that we'd never allow ever, but there's things that you go through in this whole phase
How old were you?
Yeah, at that time I was 19.
Come on.
So you go through these phases of stuff that stains you so bad that like it makes you do things better, obviously.
Yeah.
This guy walks up with his kid and he's like, hey, I could hear him, he didn't know I owned the car. He's like, hey son, look at this car, the trim's all beat to shit on it. Basically is what the guy said. He's showing his kid because it had a couple little wiggles in it, and it's brushed. So that was just one of the things that we actually talk about to this day at the shop of stuff like that, and that's why it just stains you. It's like, okay, that's never going to happen again. So that's why it just makes everything evolve and having to be so damn nice.
They got their train.
That's a fast one.
All right, go.
Rad Rides by Troy has been featured on countless automotive magazines for their design and engineering abilities, winning everything they ever set their mind to. So much so that Troy isn't even worried about trophies anymore. His new focus is breaking records, speed records. Hot rod legend George Poteet, owner of the wagon that I was driving earlier, also owns the two monsters of the Salt. I'm talking about the most decorated cars out there, the Blowfish and the Speed Demon. He's a hot rod shop owner's dream client and has gone over 400 miles per hour on the ground, more than any other man alive. He got Troy started in racing with the Blowfish. The Blowfish started life as a sad little blue car. And then it became this. With almost no original parts left on the car, it became the world's fastest in several categories, including going over 317 miles per hour on a racetrack that might as well be made of ice. And now, Troy has turned his hand to help other owners smash records at the Salt too.
So yeah, we built a streamliner. That was another challenge that we wanted to do. We built that one in 6 months from start to finish, and unfortunately, until like last year, we never had really good track to run it on, and ended up making a pretty good pass for 2 years ago, I guess now, at 350. Qualifying for a record, but then it rained out, so we didn't get a chance to back it up. So we've been patiently waiting for that car to get a good course, but it showed that what it'll do, so that's kind of interesting.
So you got a chance to meet Troy today, but we really haven't shown you what he's working on. Here are some of his current projects. The 41 Chevy. This is the most technologically advanced and functional hot rod ever made. Not just gadgets, but drivability, and they even figured in serviceability. Every bit of this car is made in the shop. There's also a third generation Camaro called the F87. The only original parts of this car are the glass and the A-pillars. Everything else was made from either billet aluminum or flat sheets of metal. You can expect this Camaro to put the third gen on the map and open the door to people giving this once overlooked car a first place spot in their shop. Fact is, there's a steady stream of top builds in the country that actually pass through Rad Rides for getting the Rad Rides treatment. This could be anything that involves making the car work and drive as good as they look. This season, we're going to be showing you what it takes to build the best hot rods on earth.